Well, I always tell everybody AI will not take your job. Someone who knows how to use AI will. And that is the absolute truth. If you want to future proof your own career, you need to upskill in AI. You need to understand how to use it for your specific role.
Howdy, everyone. I'm your host, Todd Ross Nienkerk. This is part 2 of our conversation with Jennifer Jones Mitchell, CEO of Human Driven AI. In this episode, we shift our focus to AI agents and how they are transforming customer engagement, automating operational processes, and even predicting market trends in real time. Companies like Mastercard and IHG, the hotel company, are using AI agents to act quickly on real-time data and engage with customers in ways humans simply can't. We wrap our conversation with the future of work and why understanding AI is crucial to staying ahead in today's rapidly evolving job market. As Jennifer succinctly puts it, AI won't take your job. Someone who knows AI will take your job. She highlights several new AI-related careers that didn't exist a few years ago, as well as ways to future-proof your skills in an AI-powered world. We pick up the conversation when I ask Jennifer to explain what an AI agent does.
Well, an AI agent is basically it's a lot of things. It's a custom LLM. That's the easiest way to say it. A custom GPT, if you want to think about it that way. So you can create them to serve any number of purposes. One of the most common asks that I get from my clients is to create an AI agent that helps to move their customers through the funnel, basically. So you can teach it everything about your products, your solutions, where to buy them, how to use them. And it will, as a chatbot, basically, it will answer those questions, but hopefully it will do it in a way that is so conversational, where it doesn't just answer the question, but then prompts the next question, the next action, etc. But that's for one that you're engaging with. And I'll give you a good example of an AI agent like that. I love what IHG, Intercontinental Hotels Group, has done. Of course, they have search optimized content online and they have an app. So if you know where you want to go, if you are looking for pet-friendly hotels in Boston, their search content will show up in Google, or you can find that on the app. But what IHG wanted to do was start connecting with people who don't know where they want to go yet, who don't know where they're traveling, but they know they want to take a trip. So they partnered with Gemini and Vertex AI to build an AI agent, a custom LLM, that conversationally helps to plan your trip. So you could just type in there, I'm a foodie. What are the big food cities? And it will talk conversationally with you until your entire itinerary is planned and booked. It's amazing because don't realize, and booked. Yes, it will. You book the whole plan. It will say, this is the hotel and this is the package deal. And what if we did this? And then we could even book dinner reservations. It will schedule everything for you and plan your itinerary and get that conversion that IHG wants, of course, but it all is happening in this conversational way. But that's a conversational one. You can also create AI agents that solve real problems for you. Mastercard had a problem that I think a lot of content marketers face. The tool that they were using to identify conversations that were happening in real time, it was so slow in coming back and saying, hey, these are the trending topics and conversations, that by the time Mastercard wanted to enter that conversation, it had grown stale. So I don't know if I think they use Gemini for this, but I could be wrong. But I know they use generative AI to analyze in real time billions of conversations that are happening in social media, cross-reference those with the topics Mastercard cares about, which in this case was travel and entertainment. And then as soon as it sees those topics happening in real time, the AI will serve up to the marketing team, here's a conversation that's happening on Facebook about travel, and here is the recommended content based on your library of content, because you've trained the AI on Mastercard's messaging and brand materials. So it will create that content in real time instantly. Now, Mastercard has seen already from this an increase in their click-through rates and engagement rates by, let me get it right here, by 37 and 43% respectively. And their cost per customer and cost per engagements have also gone down by about 30% each.
Wow.
And it's because the generative AI lets them get in that conversation while it's still hot with something that is relevant to the conversation that's happening. So in short, AI agents can be like a chatbot that has a conversation with your employees, with your customers to help them solve a problem or, convert a call to action. Or it can be on the back end, actually analyzing all kinds of data for you and helping you, act faster and more relevant, with more relevant content to your customers.
And in this case with Mastercard, is the agent, so the agent is, I guess for lack of a better word, listening for these conversations. Is it also automatically posting this relevant content? Inserting itself?
No.
Okay.
And you would never want to do that. What it does is simply alerts, and you wouldn't want to do that, by the way, because there's still bias in AI. There's still inaccuracies. I always say AI should create your first draft, not your final draft, always. And so it's baked into what Mastercard did is it simply serves it up to the marketing team and says, there's an opportunity. Here's the recommended content, but they still have to decide, are we going to post it? Are we going to change it? Or,
I see.
Not even post it at all.
It queues it up.
Yes.
It listens for the opportunity. It sets it up. It alerts the marketing team. They can decide what they want to do with it. They can edit it. They ultimately decide to hit publish. And so it helps to identify the opportunity. It helps to create the first draft, or maybe even close to a final draft. And so it speeds everything up while also identifying more opportunities.
Exactly. And it does it in a way that humans simply could not do it, because nobody can look at billions of conversations.
Right.
And that's billions with a B of conversations in real time, and act that quickly. That was the problem they had. Even when they had a sentiment tool, it just wasn't reporting as quickly. So yeah, I mean, AI agents are just incredible. You can have one internally to make sure that your team is only operating from the most recent marketing collateral. So everyone's singing from the same songbook. And you can put guardrails in so nobody in your company can get access to anything that isn't approved and ready to go. So it really...
What would that look like?
It would just be an internal LLM that has been trained to say, okay, these are the current, statistics or data points that we want to use. And you train the AI to never give it older data points to the marketing team. Yeah.
I see. So it's sort of like, it might be a version of having a internal wiki that stores metrics that the marketing team works from, but rather than relying on a wiki that might be out of date that has to be managed by a person, it's an agent that you have to query.
Yes. But you could also ask for specific messages or FAQs, or how do I answer this specific question that this customer is asking, or this reporter is asking. A lot of people are using custom LLMs now because it gives them that greater control and allows their employees to get instantly what they need. Even we're seeing...
So this is sort of like, having a chatbot on your company's website, except it's not accessible to the public. It's only accessible to the employees within the organization.
Yes.
And then rather than that thing being immediately visible to the public, without there being a human in between, there has to be a human in between that then relays that information to the press, to the customer, to whomever is asking.
In this scenario, yes. If you have an internal LLM or AI agent that is simply trained to help your sales and marketing teams or customer service teams answer questions, yes. On the flip side, you could have a custom LLM as well, that is customer facing, that answers their questions, or media facing. Especially if you're a public company, you may want that as an investor relations tool so that anybody can get information that, they need to know.
What's your position on agents being built in a hybrid model versus purely LLM, meaning having a more traditional style pre-LLM chatbot versus a totally open field LLM, ask it anything, potentially get any kind of answer style agent? This has come up in previous episodes where another guest had advocated for a conversation designer who was on an earlier episode, who had advocated for a hybrid approach because in some cases, for liability reasons maybe, or if you really wanted to lock down the system, maybe you don't want to open it up to have a pure LLM system because there might be bad actors that come along and they want to jailbreak your AI or whatever. One model that people have adopted is to build a more traditional decision tree style Q&A, but then leverage the strength of the LLM to interpret the intent and then guide the intent to a certain predetermined Q&A decision tree. Is that something that you've come across? You have an opinion about that versus just letting an LLM have it?
Well, I think you should never just let an LLM have it. You should always put in the guardrails and the proper training, and make sure there is a strategic brand side objective. When you're training an AI agent or an LLM, you have to think from both sides of it. What does the brand want to achieve? And what are the guardrails around that? What does the customer want to achieve? What are the types of questions that they're going to ask? I think the hybrid is the best model because you do want those guardrails, but you have to make sure that it is conversational enough. Because we're starting to see a lot of resistance to the chatbots that are so clearly just programmed to answer a certain thing. They can't really think outside of any other phrasing that they have been trained on. So you need that kind of hybrid model in order to protect your brand, but you have to make sure that the AI understands the conversation and how that will evolve without always turning it back to trying to close a sale or trying to, So I think we're seeing more and more of that kind of conversational approach to the AI models that people want to engage with.
Well, let's wrap with this. Obviously, one of the things that people are concerned about when it comes to AI is job security. Yes. Is AI going to take my job? And you have an interesting perspective on this, and a very catchy way of illustrating that. So why don't you take it from here?
Sure. Well, I always tell everybody AI will not take your job. Someone who knows how to use AI will. And that is the absolute truth. If you want to future-proof your own career, you need to upskill in AI. You need to understand how to use it for your specific role. That said, there are a lot of really cool jobs that are emerging because of AI. I have a friend and colleague who has spent 25 plus years working in PR with a focus on PR writing. And I was catching up with her the other day, and she told me that actually now she is working for the world's largest tech company, teaching its AI how to communicate. Makes sense. She's a professional communicator, right?
Yeah.
And so AI trainer is a big role that we're starting to see. And by that, I mean, like I do, training people on how to use AI, but also training the actual AI models. So PR pros who really understand how to communicate and understand how to engage with that kind of strategic position behind the engagement, it's a great job for them to teach the AI how to communicate. We talked about prompt engineers in our last episode, and that's an emerging role. But both prompt engineer and generative design specialist, which is what they're calling prompt engineers for image creation, these two roles are getting vertically specific now because a prompt engineer in the healthcare industry needs to understand all the regulations, all of the things around healthcare or financial and banking. I mean, it's the prompts you would create are very, very different by industry is what I'm saying now. And so we're seeing a desire for people who understand the vertical category becoming engineers, prompt engineers for that vertical. And the same, as I said, is true for design. So if you are a product developer or an architect or something where you're using design every day, you want a prompt engineer who understands your specific category. So these are jobs that are in high demand now. Personality designer is another one. We're seeing more and more of these LLMs emerging, and companies want to be able to say mine is different because it has this personality. So being able to train new models around, oh, this one's a bit sarcastic, and exactly having those kind of personalities are.
I'm instantly reminded of like Wendy's social media presence.
Yes, exactly. Though, yes,
yeah, that's where this is headed. And it's because at the moment you mostly just have the idea of temperature, right? Like that's really, we just have one giant kludgy dial that we can turn, and that's not nearly nuanced enough.
Yeah.
We need 1,000 little dials that we can tweak to really generate, quote, personality.
Exactly. Have you heard of Latimer?
No.
Latimer is what's known as the Black GPT, because Latimer was trained entirely and exclusively on content from the HBCUs. So think about this for a second. Obviously, I'm a white woman, right? My understanding of the Black experience is always going to be at an arm's length from what the real thing is, because that's just not my experience. So anything that I write, and I am a damn good writer, but anything I write for people of color is always going to be an arm's length off in authenticity. Latimer was trained on all content, exclusively, only trained on content from the HBCUs. Wow. So anything it writes is more authentic to people of color than something I, a human, would write.
Wow.
Think about that one.
And so these types of specialty LLMs not only need to be trained on different source materials, but they need to be tuned in different ways through, quote, personality engineering and all kinds of other things.
Yes.
And be trained through repetition and user interaction and all of those other things. It's not just about source material. It's about actual use and use over time and iteration and repetition. Absolutely.
And that's another job that's emerging too, is input-output manager, which is basically quality control. A lot of my clients, once I get them operationalizing AI and they're using it in their daily work in so many different ways, you still need to have someone in your company who is doing random spot checks on the inputs and the outputs, just to make sure that you're not giving away IP or client information, to make sure that they're not running with the first output, rather than giving that human review. So we're starting to see these kind of input-output manager. It's also called an AI content auditor. These are new jobs that companies and agencies are desperately looking to hire for.
Fascinating. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for your time. This is, we covered so much ground. If people want to learn more about what you do, if they want to follow the work that you're doing, if they want to hire you, where do they go? What do they do?
Just go to humandrivenai.com or humandriven.ai. And you'll get all my contact information and you can learn more about what I do and how I can help you.